Sup guys, the name's Rena Dragneel and welcome back to Seduce Me the Otome. So last we left off, whoo boy, Malik's definitely got the shit beaten out of him by Matthew. So I told you guys that he can definitely kick Malik's ass. I hope Malik's learned his lesson even though he's dead now. Haha. So yeah, we let this boy stay, blah blah. Diana makes her appearance, tries to teach me a lesson, but that doesn't work. And now we're back home and the boys are coming in, so let's go.
Miss, what are you doing here?
Aren't you supposed to be in school?
Haha, I just decided to come home just for the hell of it. I furrowed my eyebrows and stared at Damien, asking him to answer their questions through my thoughts.
Diana sent her back here. She invaded her school and sent all the students back home.
What is that bitch up to? Seriously, Diana's playing around for no reason.
Maybe it's part of her plan.
The boys continued to argue back and forth about Diana, feeling an almost jealous curiosity in me. Damien seemed to be too deep within the talking to notice my thoughts, for he didn't even stop talking alongside his brothers. Why was Diana after them? Why did she want to bring them back? What was so important about the boys that she would travel to the human world to get them? What was going on? I decided enough was enough. I needed answers. Hey! The boys stopped arguing, staring at me in surprise. I held my hands in fists on my lap, mustering the courage to continue to speak despite my abrupt shout. Why is Diana here? Why does she want to bring you all back? What exactly did you all run from? Why did you run from it?
Miss,
Don't miss me, please. I need to know what is going on. I won't be left in the dark about this. I want to know what I am facing. The boys looked at each other hesitantly, unsure of what to reply. Finally, Sam pushed Damien toward the bed, making him buckle and land on his knees with his torso over the edge of the mattress.
Damien, do the thing.
The thing? What thing? The thing. No, I'm talking, that thing. Yeah.
Sam, you're not suggesting.
Why not? She deserves to know everything, especially if Diana is targeting her.
Sam's right. I guess we have no choice then.
I was getting confused. What was Damien about to do? Damien stood before climbing onto the bed with me, sitting across from me on his knees.
We're going to show you everything. You have to trust me, okay? The minute you stop trusting me, the vision will stop.
Vision?
It'll be okay. Just trust him.
Whatever you say, Matthew. I looked to Matthew, unsure of what was going on, but I nodded. If this was the only way to learn, then this was my chance to know. Damien gently placed his hands on each side of my head, gently pressing his thumbs into the skin above my eyebrows. I could only stare at Damien as his eyes began to glow gold and energy began to be both pulled out of me and forced into my head. Within seconds, my vision went black once again. I was unsure of what Damien was doing, but soon shapes and textures slowly began to appear around me. Okay, so I'm going to skip a little bit of this past here. I'm going to just get up to when the boys grew a little bit older and whatnot. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, is that...
Racetrow, your nose is stuck in those books. Will you not lift your head up from them once in a while?
I'm just going to give a little brief summary. The demon lord talked with his demon servant about having to arrange the marriage with Racetrow, aka James. Yeah, okay. And here we are with the boys trying to get, friendly with each other. Huh? That voice. I circled around the pillar to see a second demon leaning against another pillar and smirking at Racetrow.
Aren't you supposed to be with your mother practicing the harpsichord?
I am, but I had a feeling that you were in danger.
In danger? What are you...
Attack! Woo! All of a sudden, 3 shadows zipped through the room and slammed into Racetrow, forcing him to fall onto the ground and drop his book. As the sight cleared for me, there were 3 other demons in a dog pile with Racetrow at the bottom.
Get up! No way! You haven't had a break in months from those stupid books. It's time for punishment!
Death by brotherhood! No more reading!
I can never get tired of Damien's child voice. That is so cute!
I told you that you were in danger.
I suddenly knew who these demons were. It's the boys. Even in the demon world, their brotherly connection was astounding. They were merely younger versions of themselves. One of the demons, who I assumed was Matthew, grabbed the book from the floor and opened it, reading it mockingly.
How can you read this, Raistero? It's all about war strategy. It's boring.
I have to, Zakaru. Get off!
There's only one thing you need to know about strategy. Kill them all. Take no prisoners.
You sound just like Father.
I couldn't help but giggle. It was cute to see them acting childish with each other. Eventually, James managed to push his brothers off him and stand brushing himself off.
You all are reckless.
At least we have fun.
It's true. You haven't been with us in weeks. Don't you think it's time for a break?
I'm sure Father won't mind.
But I have to...
I know you want to, Raistro.
Damn it.
What is going on here?
And the Demon Lord ruins their fun, so I'm just gonna skip it.
Don't worry about it. We'll find a way to get him back.
I don't know. He's on a very tight leash.
Ezreal, you're quiet. What did you hear?
He's going to a negotiation meeting. He's going to arrange a marriage.
I forgot to completely explain this thing. Okay, in the beginning with the Demon Lord and the Demon Servant discussing about the marriage, arranging the marriage with James, aka Raistro, they are arranging it with him and Diana, so that's why. Yeah, okay, continuing.
A marriage? For who?
It must be for one of us.
He hasn't decided who will marry her. It's a girl from a kingdom he wants to take over.
But that's uncharacteristic of him. Usually he'd just attack with the army.
Whatever the case is, one of us is getting married.
I hope it isn't me.
What about Raistro? He's the eldest.
It would make sense, but having a succubus marrying one of us means that she'll be practically married to all of us.
Well, what should we do?
Before the conversation could continue, the boys vanished into thin air, fading into different colored mists. They were replaced by an older Damien and Matthew sitting with each other in the middle of the throne room.
Do you think we should?
I really want to.
I want to as well. Still, it'll be hard to convince Raistero, since he's the one about to be married and he's the favorite.
We don't know that, Zakeru. Maybe she's set to marry you.
No way! I don't want to get married.
Aw, being teased.
I don't think you'll have a problem with that baby face of yours.
I looked over to see Sam join the duo, crossing his arms and raising an eyebrow at his brothers.
What are you two talking about?
We got into contact with the human world again.
Come on, Ezreal. You give humans too much attention.
No way, you gotta listen. They apparently have stores and books and schools and stuff.
Oh, look, he's so interested in all of this. Trust me, it's boring. School is boring, okay?
So what? It's full of humans who piss on each other for no reason. They're no better than the devil spawn.
Like I said before, that's kind of true.
Nuh-uh, the one we were talking to wasn't like that.
How do you know, Zakeru?
Because I do!
What is going on here?
Still cannot get used to James' demon form. Lord have mercy on my soul.
They want to go to the human world.
The human world?
Raistero, think about it. You won't have to marry that girl and be the heir anymore. You could be with us, and we can make lives for ourselves in the new world.
Now you're just talking nonsense.
I vote that we do it.
Lord have mercy, I'm starting to fangirl over Eric as well. Oh, Jesus, I can never get used to him either.
Huh? Oh, not you two.
Think about it. This may be our chance to finally get away from this political nonsense we're stuck in. We may be nobles, but we're still our own beings.
Raistro is in.
Because he can read his mind, ha.
What? Ezreal!
Woo! So how do we get there?
Are you kidding me? You don't even know how we'd get there.
A simple spell should work, but it would require someone from the human world to help us get there.
We can ask him.
Oh, he'd definitely help us.
I'm not so sure about...
Raistra, aren't you tired of pleasing Father all of the time?
I am, but...
If you stay, you'll be married off and become ruler of Father's kingdom. You'll have no time for yourself or with us, and you'll be constantly at war with the other realms for power. You'll most likely turn into the spitting image of Father.
What he's saying is, get your head out of your ass and let's go. If you don't say yes, I'll drag your princely ass with us. I don't care what that bastard of a father wants.
Come on, Raizuro!
All right, let's do this. What's the plan?
I couldn't believe what was happening. I was seeing the history of their lives before my eyes. They were nobles, and James was the heir to the kingdom the commander ruled. Even more so, he was going to be married to Diana. They sacrificed everything to leave and be together. They'd rather be free than remain in their noble roles. I started to feel a little jealous. They were able to leave while I was still expected to be what my father wanted me to be. How they were able to leave was uncertain still, but I knew I would learn in time. I closed my eyes and mentally asked Damien to end the vision. As soon as I asked, the world around me slowly vanished and I was brought back to the bedroom where I sat with my head nestled in Damien's hands. My vision began to clear, letting me fully see the boys around me, all with concerned faces.
So, you now know exactly who we are.
Diana is the girl you arranged to marry?
Not anymore. Once we left, the arrangement was broken. With no sons to marry off, her dad couldn't go through with the marriage deal.
If Diana is here for us, that means she's trying to save her kingdom from being attacked.
That's actually true, and you'll know why when I play the second game for you guys.
That's not true. She wants to rule our kingdom. Having one of us will give her the right to our kingdom as much as we'd have right over hers.
Well, he's kind of right, too.
So she's a gold digger!
Well, with a kingdom like ours, what succubus wouldn't want to marry us for it?
It all made sense. She wanted them so that she could finally take over the opposing kingdom. She knew that, despite her powers, she wouldn't be able to fight against their father, so she had to find another way in. The manipulative. Before I could continue, I felt my head suddenly get heavy and dizzy. I gripped my head, kneeling under my breath. What the?
I took too much. I'm so sorry.
Rest now. There's no need to do anything more today.
The boys suddenly rushed over and helped me lay back down as my vision was painted in white polka dots. I needed sleep badly. Instantly, I closed my eyes and let darkness consume me. After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I didn't know what I was expecting. Matthew! Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was Matthew, rousing himself up to see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes.
Oh, you're awake. How do you feel?
Better. Matthew nodded before he looked down at the bed, taking my hands into his.
I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
Dude, you've got nothing to apologize for. You need a hug, Cinnamon, but you need a hug. Matthew, it's not your fault.
No, please listen. I know that Diana and Malix have come after you because of us, so it's our fault that you're constantly in danger.
It's completely fine, Matthew. I'm okay.
If I hadn't convinced everyone to come to the human world, we would have never been attacked by Malix and hunted down and brought you in danger and...
I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear anymore. Matthew, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped Matthew's cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate and she'd hunt anyone for them. It wasn't his fault she was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I grew curious. So, Matthew, you're a noble? Matthew looked at me and gave me a goofy smile. Still love that smile.
I was once, but even if I had the title, I didn't really feel like a noble.
How come?
Well, I was the fourth noble son of the Demon Lord. With Eric and Sam ahead of me in case James couldn't fulfill his duties, there was no way I was getting the throne. So, I spent the majority of my time trying to make my mother happy. She was always unhappy.
Aw, taking care of his mom. That's so sweet. Unhappy? How come?
Well, my dad was kind of... well, he married 4 different women. Each of us came from a different mother, and my mother was the last to be married and bear a son. The thing with succubi, though, is that they get jealous very easily.
So what happened?
The other wives got mad and scorned each other. It wasn't violent, but we never ate together for a reason. My mom, though, was too proud to have jealousy. She was the last woman the Demon Lord married, so she felt important. She felt that because he stopped marrying, she had the charm to stop his marrying spree.
Matthew let out a small laugh, a hint of depression lingering in the breath he let out.
But then the Demon Lord took another woman and she bore him a son outside of wedlock. Damien. The wives, including my mother, were furious. In response, the Demon Lord had a spell cast on them, turning them into spiritual orbs.
So, in brief description, if you haven't watched my Damien route, then you'd probably want to skip some of it for the spoilers I'm about to say. So technically, okay, let's begin then. So Damien is not a noble, and his mother wasn't a queen either. So basically, he was scorned, and so was his mother, and all the wives hated her for that. And Damien's mom, out of every stress, killed herself, and the Demon Lord blamed Damien for her death. So I think after all of that, and after sparing Damien, he turned them all to spiritual orbs. I think that's what happened before. So, okay, let's just go on. That's horrible. Matthew nodded, pressing his lips together in both agreement and sadness.
They could never have physical form, and they lost all their powers. They became slaves trapped in the Demon Lord's castle. However, they were kept alive to make sure their sons grew up to be competent demons.
I'm sorry. Matthew gently shrugged, letting a small nostalgic smile grace his lips.
She taught me how to be a demon, though. Not just a demon, a grown, adult demon. I read books, I learned strategy, everything that James was doing under the Demon Lord's watch. Only, I trained with just my mother.
So he read books, so Damien was wrong. Matthew read books. He can read.
She wanted me to surprise the Demon Lord one last time, and maybe take the throne away from James.
Matthew then reached into his pocket and took out a small mirror.
Here, I'll show you.
Flashback! Matthew handed it to me and sent a wave of blue mist into it. It began to glow until it enveloped the room in a bright light. When the light had subsided, I was back in the main hall of the demon castle. I looked around, feeling unable to move, but I could practically see everything as clear as I had before. However, my focus gathered on Matthew sitting on the throne as if it was his and reading a book. For some reason, Matthew reminded me of James at that moment. He seemed engrossed in his reading each word and absorbing each meaning. Him on the throne surprisingly fit him. There was something about him.
This is an easy read.
A saddened cry, however, echoed through the hall, forcing Matthew to stop, closing the book and stand from the throne. His mom is crying. That's sad.
Mother?
I looked around, confused at the cry and where it was coming from. It seemed to just echo through the room without any source of direction. I have no idea if you guys can hear the cry, but it sounds kind of creepy and sad. Matthew sighed and placed the book on the armrest of the throne before he cupped his hands together.
Fly and comfort her, will you?
As Matthew opened up his hands, a small bird with blue and purple feathers perked up from the hiding place. Matthew smiled before releasing it into the air. I watched as it flew off and glided through an open archway. The sound of its flapping wings faded into the air as it flew farther into the castle.
Come on.
I could tell that Matthew was holding his breath. He must have cared very deeply for his mother. It was incredibly sweet. At last, the sound of the crying stopped, making Matthew release a happy sigh.
There we go.
Matthew cracked his knuckles in approval and reached for his book. However, before he could even graze the cover with his fingers, the sound of pattering entered the room.
You, what son? Away from the throne!
God, I hate you.
All right. What am I going to do with you? You're a child.
Matthew glared at the servant as the servant quickly brushed the throne off, like there was dust all over it.
The next time I see you on the throne, I will inform the Demon Lord. Understand?
Yes.
The demon servant continued to brush over the throne before knocking the book from the armrest. Matthew froze as the servant quickly patted over and picked it up. Oh boy.
What is this? A book? Why do you have it?
I was reading.
You read? You don't need to read. You're never going to need knowledge for anything, fourth son.
Wow. I saw Matthew's eyes twitch, making me grimace. This servant sure had a mouth. It was annoying at the very least. Please tell me about it. I want to smack the shit out of him when he's talking shit smack about Damien.
I'll just take this book and bring it to the heir himself to read. He's reading faster than the library can provide.
But that's...
Raestro's next area of study.
Jesus. The servant began to walk away, ignoring Matthew's glare of anger. The servant stopped, however, to look at Matthew to pound one more nail into the wound.
Let's face it, kid. You have the smallest horns, the smallest frame, and the least amount of power among the noble sons. You'll never be like them, so just stop trying. Use your incubus powers on others who have a child fetish or something.
This motherfucking bitch. I want to smack him. I want to punch him. I want to do so many things to this disgusting little imp. Ugh. The demon looked at Matthew up and down before rushing off wherever he came from. As the servant disappeared, Matthew summoned a knife and chucked it in the direction where the servant left. The knife embedded itself into the hard stone beside the door into the hall.
Ugh, I hate that guy. Disgusting pig fawn.
The disgusting pig fawn. What he said was uncalled for. That was so low. Like, why the fuck would you say that to someone who's trying their hardest? Why would you crush that? I'm just gonna stop. Matthew walked over and sat on the foot of the throne, clearly aggravated. Eventually, Matthew stopped the magic, lowering the mirror and holding it in his hands before looking at me.
I had hoped to show you my mother, but I guess the mirror wanted to show you something else. Sorry.
That servant is terrible. Not more than terrible. That servant is a motherfucking bitch that needs to burn.
Tell me about it. He served the demon lord almost his whole life. Ugly pig fawn.
Matthew laughed while I laughed at the insult. It was good to see Matthew in good spirits despite what was shown and what was happening around us. Still, it was sad to see that he was considered the child of the noble sons. He could read books of knowledge that his brother hadn't read, and he seemed caring. It was insulting to see someone tear him down like that. Exactly! Why would you tear someone for trying their best? Matthew smiled at me before pocketing the mirror.
Whatever. Thankfully, we got out of there, so I could be with my brothers like a normal family. No hierarchies, no politics, no pig funds, nothing.
I smiled. It was good that he saw the positive side. However, his face slowly turned to a sad one before he looked down at the bed. Matthew?
You've done a lot for me and my brothers, sheltering us, letting us continue to live here. It may not seem like much, but for us it's everything. But I don't want you to get hurt because of us.
I watched in speechless silence as Matthew lifted his head, his eyes full of almost hopelessness.
That's why I'm sorry.
Matthew lowered his head in shame. I couldn't help but feel my heart squeeze within my chest at the sight. He truly cared. Matthew let out a small sigh before looking to me with a new smile. He hid his sadness well, but I could tell he was still upset about the whole ordeal.
Alright. You need to sleep and I need to make dinner. I'll wake you up when dinner is done.
We have been sleeping too much. Please, let us get up and move. Matthew gently pressed me back down onto the bed, resolved in what had happened. As much as I love sleep, we sleep too much. We need to get up. Whatever. Steal a kiss. I couldn't let him leave without doing something. I quickly pulled Matthew down to me, lifted my head, and gently kissed him, softly laying a hand on his cheek to keep his face closed. Matthew stared in deep surprise before hesitantly kissing me back, caressing my cheek and slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he slowly pulled away with a smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go red in the face at the simple gesture. He let out a satisfied sigh before nuzzling my forehead.
Go to sleep.
And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request. I smiled to myself before relaxing into the mattress. Not another one. Jesus, leave us alone. I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt it in my core. She must be here. The thought of her in the house infuriated me beyond belief. I had to make sure she was not here. I rolled out of bed and quickly left my room, wandering the halls and listening closely. She was a demon, but I was listening very intently. There was no way she would have been able to sneak up on me. I know you're here. Where are you? I could feel myself growl. It wasn't a matter of fear that she'd take away the boys anymore. Her very existence had lit a fire of rage within my gut, which only grew as each day went by. This feud was getting on my nerves, and I knew it would not end well for one of us. I wasn't going to lose to that demon bitch.
Leave me alone!
No, not Matthew! My heart stopped. Diana was with Matthew. My mind flew into slow motion, playing fake images of Diana, trying to seduce Matthew in my head to further fan the angry flame inside of me. I instinctively followed Matthew's voice. I was approaching the grand lobby and followed the commotion to the dining room. The sound was echoing from the kitchen, so I peeked inside while hiding around the corner. I almost growled at the sight. Matthew was holding to one side of the kitchen's island counter with Diana holding the other side, looking to him with a smirk.
Oh, come on, Matthew. Don't you like games? A game of tag sounds so fun.
Not with you. Now go away!
I'm hurt. Wounded, truly. Did I go too far?
You went too far when you came here and attacked her.
Don't.
Pity. And here I thought I was going to offer you the chance to become something better than just a simple incubus.
What was Diana going on about? More than just an incubus, she was insane.
How about becoming the next demon lord?
I froze. What did she mean? Becoming the next demon lord? The boys weren't in the demon world anymore. They had no claim to the throne anymore. Matthew stared at Diana, which made me worried.
The next demon lord?
Well, currently, I'm the contracted bride to the heir to the throne. Since the throne is open, it's available to any son of the Demon Lord's line. Think about it. You'll gain the throne, the land, and a bride to continue your lineage with. Doesn't that sound like a perfect life for an incubus like you? You'll show your father and mother how grown up you are. That you're not just some little cute boy people can take for granted.
I could feel myself gripping my fists tightly in anger. How dare this girl try to convince Matthew to return to the demon world? He ran away from it. He didn't have to go back. He shouldn't have to go back. Well, he shouldn't go back. My mind began to wander, imagining him saying yes. He would leave and the brothers would follow to bring him back. They'd be trapped because Diana would make sure they could never leave. Matthew would be the new demon lord with Diana as his queen, and I'd lose him.
Like I would believe you.
Ooh!
You don't need to believe me, Matthew. You just need to come back home with me. I promise, you'll be respected as you were supposed to be.
I'm not falling for it.
Fall for what? The truth? The truth is that your brothers still treat you like a child, even though the demon world is far behind you. The truth is that your little human love affair is fleeting. She can never see you as a man, just as a little boy who wants to grow up.
Okay, that's not true. I definitely see him as a man and not a child. Though he has childish personality, he's very grown up, like a very grown up man. I can tell that. I can tell you that.
Stop it!
Oh, shit. I stared as Matthew chuckled a handful of knives at Diana, who ducked and dodged them with ease. They dug themselves into the tile wall before fading away as if they didn't exist.
You dare attack me?
I'm not going back. And that is final!
I could see Matthew's muscles tense up and flex, wanting to attack Diana. The girl in question, however, took a deep breath and looked to Matthew with a pleading look.
You won't even return to your mother? She's been crying ever since you left.
This little bitch. Do not bring his mom into this. I swear, I want to...
Do not bring her into this!
What he said. Matthew glared as Diana circled the island towards him.
She begged me to bring you back. She wants you to get what you deserve. The throne.
I don't believe you!
Matthew then walked away from Diana, heading to the fridge to start dinner, as if she wasn't there. Diana stopped and leaned against the counter. I love his face. He's just like, I don't care. I'm gonna ignore you now. Bye.
She'll never love you, you know.
This motherfucker.
I don't mind. I care for her.
Oh my god. Can you hear that? That's the sound of my heart beating and squealing. Okay.
The human girl? You must be joking. A human like her can't possibly provide you what you need. She's a human. You're a demon.
I felt the urge to storm in and shut her mouth. It would give away my position, but I was growing extremely tired of Diana. Barge in and set her straight. I decided to be assertive and quickly stepped into the room, rushing to be in front of Matthew. Diana and Matthew looked at me in surprise as I glared daggers at Diana. Get out.
Well, well, little human. You're awfully nosy in business that doesn't concern you.
It does concern me.
Does it? I don't think a human would understand the importance of this affair.
You're asking him to leave to be someone he doesn't want to be. That's not going to happen.
Oh? And what makes you so sure about that?
I love him! Diana stared in shock at my exclamation. Was it not what she expected? I didn't care what she expected. I wasn't going to lose the man I had grown to love.
You love him?
Yes, I love him. Diana's lips twitched the edges, curling into an amused smirk as she stared at me.
So what? A human's love isn't enough to understand the situation. A demon can never reciprocate human feeling.
To both of our surprise, however, Matthew stepped forward and put an arm around me, pulling me close to his body.
I love her.
Oh, he said I love it. Oh my god. I saw the confidence Diana had shatter in her eyes as she stared at Matthew at his words. I could see the struggle in her face to try and find some weakness in Matthew, in me, anything.
A demon love a human? Impossible.
It is not impossible. It is not impossible, my dear.
You heard me. I love her, Diana. I'd do anything for her, and she cares for me more than anyone in the abyssal plane ever had. More than you'll ever know. She makes me feel like the adult I'm supposed to be, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Ever.
Ooh, got called out. Diana took a step back, physically feeling the sting of Matthew's words in her chest. She had lost. I could see it in her eyes. Diana's eyes grew dull as she glared at me and Matthew. It seemed almost uncharacteristic of her, yet it was something I wasn't surprised to see come from her face.
Very well. Fine. Valet.
Bye-bye. And with that, Diana faded into the ground, into a purple pentagram, crossing her arms and almost looking upset. Matthew and I were left alone, with the silence of the room. I finally let out the air I was unconsciously holding in my chest, relaxing from the ordeal. Matthew stepped up to me and held me gently, surprising me.
Are you all right?
I nodded in response, unable to speak so immediately after being surprised. Matthew let out a sigh, relaxing in the embrace. I gently placed my hands around him, returning the embrace slightly. I could hear Matthew's heartbeat. He held me close in his arms, and I felt safe beyond words. Are you okay?
Of course I'm okay. I'm holding you.
That is adorable. I looked up at Matthew, surprised at what he said. Matthew blushed, moving a strand of hair from my face to look down at me.
You mean so much to me. You make me feel like more than just a kid. I've never felt this happy before with anyone, and here you are giving me every reason to love you. I love you so friggin' much.
This is adorable, okay? Don't mind me, I'm just internally squealing. I stared wide-eyed, blushing like a maniac. Was this real? No way. This couldn't be real. Was Matthew confessing to me? Confessing his love for me? Matthew gently caressed my cheek, staring into my eyes with a loving, almost hopeful expression. The warmth of his hand invited me to nuzzle into it, closing my eyes. This wasn't a dream. My heart was pounding hard enough where I was sure Matthew could hear it. Matthew gently leaned in, closing his eyes. He stopped, however, remaining just a mere torturous inch away from my lips. He wanted me to show my feelings for him. He had left himself open for me to kiss him or leave him empty. The power I had was unbelievable. We're gonna kiss him, duh! I loved him and wanted to give him exactly what he wanted. I gently leaned in, letting my lips finally touch his gingerly. Matthew let out an almost surprised gasp against my lips, before wrapping both of his arms around my waist, pulling me close to him. I moved my arms up and around his neck, feeling the kiss between us deep into a heated height. My chest was pounding, making me feel and see fireworks in my mind. Matthew was everything I desired. He was the man I wanted, demon or not. It was so all supernatural to fall in love with someone so quickly. Maybe it was the sense magic I was thrown into. Maybe it was Cupid playing with my heart. Either way, I found myself melting at the thought of him being with me. I found myself combing my fingers through Matthew's hair, making the man holding me softly tremble at my touch. He gently nibbled on my lower lip, asking me to deepen the kiss between us even further. I easily teased him before finally opening my mouth slightly for him. His tongue gently danced with mine as one of his hands slid up my back and cradled my head. He gently leaned my body back, making me cling to him as the heat of our kiss rose higher and higher. See, he's being a man right now, not a child, a man. Gently, though, Matthew slowed the kiss down and pulled away, staring down at me. His eyes burned for me, wanting me to melt and buckle in his arms. I could feel myself melt already. Matthew opened his mouth to speak, but as a very small blush ran across his cheeks, he was reduced to shy silence. I stared as he tried to find the words to say in my eyes. I knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't need energy, though, right? Are you?
No, I
stared wide-eyed, feeling a blush on my cheeks grow. He didn't say anything more, but I knew what words would have followed if he continued. Oh, we all know what's going to come after this. He wanted me. But I was stunned. Was I that appealing to him? Was his passion really that deep for me? Matthew gently nuzzled my forehead, losing the blush and finally being able to speak.
If you don't want to, we don't have to. I mean, it's up to you.
I could feel my mind go numb and purr at the idea. A moment with an incubus. He was a demon of sex, the purest form of lust and desire. My world would rock and I would enjoy every second of it. At the same time, I was indeed inexperienced. Diana wasn't wrong when she claimed me to be innocent. Did I want to give that innocence to him, especially this early? I found myself forgetting the words yes and no. What could I say to him? I knew then what I wanted, but how to say it without breaking the moment? And I am going to stop here for today, since I'm running out of time. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my videos, subscribe to me. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!